This is Chadwick. Beep, beep, beep. The alarm sounded loudly. The man in the bed rolled over and fumbled to turn off the alarm on his phone. He woke up without snoozing once, a win in his world. He picked up his phone, looking at the time. 1:08 p.m. Perfect, he thought to himself. He was proud that he was up before 2 o'clock. This was going to be a big day. He slowly waddled over to the mini fridge in his bedroom. He opened the door and grabbed a can of soda. The can was black with blue and white writing. The words on the can? River Rage. It was the soda of champions. Well, no. It was the soda of our champion. As he cracked open the can, he took a step in front of his mirror. A red visor covered his black hair. A slight 5 o'clock shadow covered his face. His eyes were covered by a pair of aviator sunglasses. He was wearing a white tank top with blue and red stripes. His lower half was adorned with board shorts, white with red palm trees. His feet were covered in the cheapest, most plastic pair of flip-flops known to man. After a hearty burp, he looked at himself. This, ladies and gentlemen, was Chadwick Brockingsworth in all of his glory. Chadwick slowly made his way downstairs. He walked past his father's office, ignoring the phone call his dad was on. His father, Alvin Brockingsworth, was one of the most successful defense attorneys in the city of Red Lawn Cove, California. Chadwick was born and raised here, with his father supporting him in his behaviors for the past 24 years. Chadwick walked down the stairs into the kitchen. Amelia, his mother, was on the phone talking to one of her friends. She nodded at Chadwick as he walked by. Dennis, the family's faithful butler, was standing in the kitchen waiting for Chadwick. "The usual, sir?" he asked with a dull tone. Yeah," Chadwick replied. The usual was a grilled cheese sandwich, which was all Chadwick ever ate. After waiting impatiently for 5 minutes, he got his sandwich and went outside. He was ready to explore the beach and go surfing. This was going to be a fun day. Nothing or no one could stop the fun Chadwick was about to have. Chadwick walked outside, taking in another beautiful sunny day. His parents' house was so close to the Pacific Ocean that he could smell the sweet air. He took a deep breath, letting it fill his lungs. He hoped there would be good waves today. He opened the garage door slowly, unveiling his most prized possession, Jethro. Jethro was an orange and black Maverick dirt bike his father had gotten him for his 13th birthday. It seemed to be the only thing Chadwick cared about or took care of. He studied every inch of Jethro, making sure he was good to go. He then hopped on Jethro to start him. His foot smashed down on the Kickstarter. The sweet sound of Jethro's engine soon filled his ears. He quickly sped out of the garage, screeching down the driveway, knocking over the gardener in the process. What a life, Chadwick thought as he headed towards the beach. Chadwick made his way towards the beach, ignoring the roads and using the sidewalk to quickly traverse his way to the beach. As he weaved his way in and out of the boardwalk foot traffic, people were jumping out of his way, trying not to get run over. To the shock of no one, maybe other than Chadwick himself, A police officer saw him driving on the boardwalk and pulled him over. Chadwick, surprisingly, stopped for the officer. "Pardon me, young man. What the hell are you doing?" the officer asked. "Bruh, headed to the beach, surfing," Chadwick replied, unaware that he was breaking any laws. "Okay, not the best way to do that. License, please," the officer asked. Chadwick handed him his license, and the officer's face changed. "Brockingsworth? Is your dad the lawyer?" Yup," Chadwick replied. "Please stay off the boardwalk and have a good day," the officer replied as he handed Chadwick his license back. The Brockingsworth name carried a lot of weight, something Chadwick knew well enough to abuse. "Brochacho, you made it!" Doug said excitedly. Doug, a chubby man wearing a blue Hawaiian shirt and khaki shorts, was Chadwick's best friend. He always had a white bucket hat on his head. While some thought it was a fashion statement, the reality was that Chadwick had glued Doug's hand to his head in 3rd grade, forever changing Doug's ability to grow hair. The two had been best friends since they were 3 years old. Today, it was time to surf. Doug opened the back of his van where the two stored their boards. Chadwick grabbed his and went right into the water, catching a wave. Chadwick was a natural at everything he did, be it athletic or anything else. As he surfed, Chadwick looked like a bronze god of the sea. Doug, however, did not. He looked more like an uncoordinated jar of mayonnaise trying to stay afloat. Doug tried to stand on his surfboard, but quickly fell into the water. He was flailing his arms wildly, unable to swim. Chadwick scooted over on his board and pulled Doug out of the water. "Bro, where are your arm floaties?" Chadwick asked. "Oh, come on! The girls won't even talk to me when I wear them," Doug pleaded. "Hey, Bromeister, they won't look at you either way," Chadwick said with a hearty chuckle. Doug shook his head. Yeah, whatever. At least the weather's nice. How long are we staying out here, bruh?" Chadwick and Doug stayed at the beach until 7 p.m. All of the sun and heat had made Chadwick very, very thirsty. While a normal person would look for water to rehydrate, no. Just no. This is Chadwick, who is not a normal person. He, instead, cracked open a liter bottle of River Rage, chugging it down in less than 60 seconds. Another weird Chadwick skill. After a loud burp, Chadwick felt better. After another 30 seconds, he felt thirsty. And yet again, he chugged a 2nd liter of River Rage. Another burp. Chadwick was struggling to quench his thirst. He decided to just head home and deal with it later. He waved goodbye to Doug before he hopped on Jethro to head home for the day. As he drove, Chadwick noticed the world was spinning a little. He blinked his eyes and focused hard, trying to just make it home. All of the heat and lack of water had put Chadwick in a bad bind. His body was hanging on by a thread, slowly drying out. It was only a matter of time before it became critical. Could he make it home before that moment? Probably not. As he drove onward, he noticed that it was starting to get darker and darker. He looked up and saw the bright sun in the sky. Chadwick was confused and really warm and really thirsty. As all these things crossed his mind, Chadwick's eyes closed as he slipped into the deep abyss of unconsciousness. Boom! Jethro crashed through the front door of a boutique selling painted driftwood art, stopping directly in front of the cash register. Chadwick had flown off Jethro, landing right on top of a table at Delfish Sushi, interrupting someone's cheap sushi dinner. Chadwick was out cold. The cashier turned off Jethro before calling 911. 3 minutes later, an ambulance arrived and attended to Chadwick. They gave him 3 units of IV to rehydrate his body. "How are you feeling, Mr. Brockingsworth?" the EMT asked. "Bruh, that's my dad. I'm Chadwick. Hey, can you have me another River Rage? I'm thirsty." Chadwick's reply showed how much thought he put into everything. Chadwick, unwisely, opened another liter of River Rage before thanking the EMTs and driving away. Chadwick drove Jethro towards his house. He still felt tired, but the IV helped him rally. As he drove, he turned down Ranchero Boulevard, a street known for its rampant nightlife. Chadwick saw a house with flashing lights and cars in front of it. Being Chadwick, he parked Jethro in front of the house and simply walked in. As he walked in the front door, everyone stopped and looked at him. There was a moment of silence as everyone saw the outline of Chadwick. Then everyone cheered. "Chadwick!" all the partygoers screamed. Chadwick, to zero surprise, was well known on Ranchero Boulevard and in Red Lawn Cove. He waved at everyone as the party resumed. "I need to tell Doug about this banger," Chadwick thought to himself as he took a sip from a random red cup he found sitting on a table. He then pulled out his phone, shooting a text to Doug to come rage with him. 5 minutes later, Doug stumbled in the door. Everyone at the party turned and smiled and nodded casually at Doug. Everyone in town knew Doug, or of Doug. 67% of the people at the party knew him as Chadwick's round friend, with no earthly idea that he had a name. Doug, fortunately, was unaware of this. Doug and Chadwick gave each other a bro hug before they scoped the room. Doug saw a makeshift dance floor in the dining room with a fancy dining table looking extra appealing. Doug, frankly, was not a small man. Well, not tall at 5 feet 10 inches. His frame was large and held a solid 315 pounds. This, among other things, made his next move all the more ridiculous. Without a care, Doug decided to show the party his dance moves, jumping onto the table and performing the sprinkler. To the surprise of only Doug, the table collapsed under his mass, with Doug landing face first on top of it. The music suddenly stopped. As Doug tried to gain his bearings, 3 early 20s frat bros came out of the kitchen with angry looks on their faces. 2 of them grabbed Doug by the arms, lifting him up. The third looked Doug in the eyes and stuck a finger in his face. "Hey, fatso, you ruined my table, so now me and the crew are gonna ruin your face," the angry frat boy screamed at Doug. "Hey man, I'm so sorry. I just got excited. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I don't want any trouble. I'll pay you guys for the table. How much do you need?" Doug stammered, clearly trying to prevent any future personal bodily harm. The frat boy nodded, smiled at Doug, then punched him right in the stomach. The other 2 laughed loudly as Doug toppled over in pain. The loudness of the party died, and it was silent and still enough to hear a pin drop. The 2 frat boys holding Doug picked him up as the head frat bro prepared to give Doug a second shot. As he reached his fist back to deliver his second blow, he saw a flash out of the corner of his eye. Doug, knowing what was coming, closed his eyes and braced himself for impact. He could hear a grisly crack as the fist pushed forward. Suddenly, Doug's arms were free. And why didn't he feel the punch? Was he a superhero who felt no pain now? Doug slowly opened his eyes. He saw the 3 frat boys on the ground in a heap. What happened? Doug turned his head to his left and saw why. Chadwick was standing above the downed frat bros. He was holding a red cup he was sipping out of in his left hand. Meanwhile, his right hand, the difference maker, was still in a fist. "Mess with Doug, mess with me, brah," Chadwick said to the down bros. He then turned and looked at Doug. "Bail time, bro chacho." The 2 ran out of the house, hopped on Jethro, and rode away into the night. It was midnight, early by the standards of Chadwick and Doug. As they rode Jethro away from the party that had gone south, they spotted 2 guys standing outside of a tow truck. The truck was bright yellow with red writing on the side that said Chicken Man Towing Inc. Chadwick and Doug looked at one another. "What a dumb name," Doug said. Just then the 2 men stepped out of the shadows. One of them was tall and skinny, wearing shiny green pants. The other man was wearing a cowboy hat and had a blank look on his face. "Kind sir, it is a professional name. My name is Charles Bingford. This here is my colleague Jeff. He doesn't talk, never has. Some stuff happened. It's whatever," Charles said, drifting off as he talked. The 4 men talked for 15 minutes, quickly becoming friends. After getting to know one another, Charles turned to Doug and Chadwick. Look, guys, me and Jeff are here working on a job. We have a repo order. You guys want to help us? He asked. Oh, yeah, you seem like a trustworthy and respectable dude, Chadwick replied. Soon, he would learn that his initial feeling was, in fact, quite wrong. Awesome. Okay, so there's a 1974 Chevy in this guy's driveway. It's the blue one. He collects old cars or something. But this one, he didn't pay his bills on. So we take it and then we sell it, Charles proclaimed excitedly. Sell it? Doesn't the bank get it? Doug asked. Oh yeah, bank, yeah, that's what I said, pal, he responded to Doug. Doug simply nodded and smiled, accepting that poor answer. Charles explained his half-brained plan to Chadwick and Doug. He would watch from afar with Jeff. Chadwick and Doug would sneak in, grab the keys from the garage, getting in through a window that he somehow knew was unlocked. Chadwick would be the lookout, while Doug drove the car quietly to the truck to be towed. The plan went off flawlessly. Until it didn't. As Doug got in the car, he was careful to do everything quietly. Chadwick had his eyes locked on the house. Doug fumbled the keys, but managed to get them in the ignition. He shot Chadwick a thumbs up. He slowly turned the key. The car rumbled slightly as the engine kicked on. It was at this point that the drama began to unfold. The radio of the car was on full volume. It was also blasting the song Barbie Girl. Doug frantically tried to turn it off. Chadwick looked on in shock. The lights in the house turned on. As the singer encouraged us to come on and go party, Doug was trying to figure out the radio. The front door of the house then flew open. An old man wearing only underwear appeared holding a shotgun and screaming at the top of his lungs. You damn kids! Get away from my car! I'm going to shoot! He screamed. Chadwick started to run. Doug, forgetting how to open the door, tried to climb out of the window. He got stuck in the window. His behind, dangling out of the window, was quite the target for the old man. He picked up his shotgun and pointed at the easy target Doug had given him. He pulled the trigger. Doug screamed as his backside was hit with a blast. Luckily for Doug, it was a assault shotgun. That didn't make him feel any better, as he fell face first on the ground with a severely bruised butt. He frantically rose from the ground and scurried in the trees to escape. As Chadwick and Doug got back to Charles and Jeff, they saw the two men laughing. Doug looked angry at them. That guy shot me in the butt! He screamed, pulling down his pants to show everyone. Bruh, Dougie, that looks awful, Chadwick said. Really? Is it bruised? Am I dying? Doug asked worriedly. No, it just looks bad, period. You know, the shot may have made it even better, even, Charles said as he laughed. Jeff nodded with a smile. Chadwick broke down laughing. Doug, despite the pain, chuckled. You guys are cool dudes. Just call me CM. Anytime you want to hang out, I'm in, CM said to them with a smile. Chadwick shook CM's hand. Bruh, yeah, you guys are a hoot, Chadwick said. After exchanging phone numbers, they went their separate ways. Chadwick and Doug rode off on Jethro. Hey, bro, Chacho, I think those guys tried to get us to steal a car, Doug said with a concerned look on his face. Nah, it was just a repo that went wrong. Chill the beans biscuits, Broheim, Chadwick replied. Time had flown by. It was now nearly 3 a.m. as the pair rode onward into the darkness of the night. Okay, bro, Chacho, if you say so, Doug said, trying to sound okay with what happened. Hey, it's late, and I need to get home. Can you drop me off? Bro, yeah, no problem, Chadwick said with a smile, as he hit Jethro's throttle and popped a wheelie, nearly dumping Doug on his injured backside. They headed towards Doug's house. Chadwick leaned back to talk to Doug. This night was pretty dull. Chadwick stopped Jethro abruptly in Doug's driveway. "Brah, here you go. Sweet dreams," Chadwick yelled at Doug. Doug nodded and waved goodbye. Chadwick held his brake down, then revved his throttle. Billowing smoke filled Doug's driveway. Chadwick let go of the brake, blasting out of the driveway, leaving a huge black streak of rubber for Doug to clean later. As Chadwick drove home, he began to feel sleepy and thirsty. For a man who ignored all hydration all day, it was a miracle he was still upright, let alone operating a motor vehicle. He got closer and closer to home, but his eyes started opening and closing at an alarming rate. Each time his eyes flickered shut, it took him longer and longer to open them. Finally, Chadwick's eyes closed and did not reopen. He was out. He slumped forward, snoring slightly. His hand twisted Jethro's throttle as he sped up. His house was in sight, but Chadwick was oblivious. Crash! Jethro smashed into the prized rose bushes of Chadwick's grumpy neighbor, Mrs. Drummond. Her life revolved around her rose bushes. She had spent thousands of dollars and thousands of hours making sure they were perfect. The scene of those prized rose bush now included Jethro sticking straight out of them as the back wheel kept spinning, slowing down gradually as each second passed. Chadwick, who had been launched off of Jethro, never even woke up. He floated through the air, landing on Drummond's trash can, sending garbage flying all over the yard. A light turned on at Chadwick's house. The door opened. It was Dennis, their faithful butler. Just like every night, he was waiting for Chadwick to return. He walked outside, pulled Jethro out of the rose bush, wiping off the bike, and pushed it back into the garage. He then returned and scooped up Chadwick, carrying him to his room. He woke him up, made him drink some water, and then tucked him in for the night. Dennis sighed. Another day of this. In the morning, Elvin went over and chatted with Mrs. Drummond. Her anger was appeased when Elvin handed her an envelope stuffed with cash. Elvin slowly walked home and opened the door, heading into the house. He found Amelia in the kitchen. "Well, he did it again," he said. Amelia shook her head. "Rosebush?" she asked. He nodded. She turned and looked into Elvin's eyes. "How did we get here with him? How do we get him to do anything productive with his life?" "I don't know," he said, putting his hand on her shoulder. Amelia sighed as she held her face in her hands. The worry the two had about their son was growing larger every day. Chadwick, on the other hand, was happily sleeping in his room. He was unaware of the damage he had caused. This was how it always was for Chadwick. He was never forced to deal with the consequences or answer for his actions. Alvin had always bailed him out, smoothing things over so Chadwick could skate away freely. This was his life. Sleep all day, up all night getting into trouble, and being saved at the last second. Calling him lucky would be a gross understatement. He redefined what luck was. He redefined what it meant to never have to answer for anything. What Chadwick did not know was that he would soon be facing a situation where he would have to answer and step up. Was he prepared for that? Only time would be able to tell.